I just want to make one comment before I go to my prepared remarks with respect to the chairman's assessment about the role of prescribed fire. The reason that I and our ranking member, Senator Manchin and Senator Cantwell, have come together on the prescribed fire bill that I've introduced, S 4625, is that we think prescribed fire is a horribly underfunded tool in the forest management toolbox. And so the way I think I would describe it, in the forest management toolbox, we want to look at a variety of different approaches. I think responsible mechanical treatment certainly should be one of those tools in the toolbox. The reason we introduced our legislation is because we do think that it does not serve our communities well to have prescribed fire so woefully underfunded. And that has really been our position. As I mentioned, I do want to thank my colleagues, our ranking member, Senator Manchin, Senator Cantwell, for working with me to put together a bill that elevates the importance of prescribed fire as one of the tools in this forest management toolbox. The increasing severity of fires that we've seen in the West make it clear the reality that we're dealing with, that our forests are burning. They've been burning for millennia. And land managers have been lucky over the last 100 years that they've been able to suppress them quickly. Due to changing climate, suppressing every fire is nearly an insurmountable challenge, so much so that the question now is not if an acre will burn, but when. The wildland firefighters I've spoken with would rather have that acre burn in the cooler, wetter months with firefighters at the ready, rather than scrambling to fight a wildfire that ignites on the hottest, driest, windiest days of the year in the backyard of our rural neighbors. Controlled burns are an effective science-based way to reduce hazardous fuel loading on forested land and ultimately reduce fire risks to homes and businesses. I'd also point out that controlled burns are cheaper than mechanical treatments. They are essential at restoring the long-term health and resiliency of forests and cost much less, roughly 1/5 of the cost to put out a wildfire. In 2018, the Forest Service determined that 234 million acres of forest are at high risk of dangerous wildfire. Yet, the federal agencies treated only 3 million acres annually during the last decade, which means that federal land managers will never get ahead of the problem unless there is a substantial increase in resources. S 4625 takes a fundamentally different approach to forest management with new tools, incentives, and workforce to do large-scale, proactive, hazardous fuels reduction. The bill establishes 2 funds dedicated specifically for controlled burns, one at the Forest Service, one at the Department of Interior, designed to increase the pace and scale of controlled burns. The bill creates a new collaborative controlled burn program, so people on the ground have a say in when and where they take place, and establishes several workforce development programs to increase the number of prescribed fire practitioners, people who really understand what the science is all about. Finally, the bill works within the Clean Air Act to give states more flexibility for extending their burn days to increase the number of large-scale controlled burns that can happen during the winter. Another bill on the agenda is S 2875, the Smith River National Recreation Expansion Act, introduced by Senator Merkley and myself. The bill has strong bipartisan support, local support, and would expand the existing Smith River NRA by roughly 55,000 acres and would designate roughly 80 miles of wild and scenic rivers. I hope that we'll be able to consider both these bills at the soonest possible time when we mark up next. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, and appreciate the courtesy.